Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Hello, everyone. I am Katie Petrick, and today, as every day, I am joined by David Fiorazo. And did you know it's Monday?
Yes, it is.
It is. It is. It's the
True
start
story.
of the week. It's tax day
Halfway
here
through
in
April.
America. Yay. And more importantly, we are live here on Educated. Now, as always, when we are live, make sure you're posting your questions and your comments on Facebook, and then we will respond to you.
We will.
As we can.
We'll try.
Periodically throughout the show. Now, David.
Yes. Katie.
Since it's Monday.
Yes.
It means you kicked off your week.
Yes.
With some worldview matters.
My goodness. I love this man that I talked to today, Mondo Gonzalez with Prophecy Watchers. He's got a book out on red heifers and the third temple in Jerusalem. Fascinating regarding Bible prophecy. We also talked about the Psalm 19 project. He's got all these big telescopes and a great fascination with astronomy. We talked about his work and his love for that as well. So great podcast, Mondo Gonzalez today, worldviewmatters.tv, if you'd like to subscribe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you should subscribe. All right.
You should. One should subscribe. Shouldn't one?
Thou shalt.
I think one should.
All right. Well, hey, we have some lawmakers down in Tennessee who overwhelmingly passed a new bill that allowed teachers the ability, not mandatory, but the ability to carry guns on school grounds. And this obviously followed, if you remember, the deadly massacre at Covenant Christian Elementary just 1 year ago. So, David.
Yes.
Tennessee, they're changing some things that could
help.
Yes, but also create more conversation and more everything throughout the rest of the country. So what's happening in Tennessee? Because
people don't kill people. It's guns that kill people. Anyway, interesting story. Republican lawmakers there banded together, and they advanced a proposal that would allow some, as Katie said, it's not mandatory, they would allow some teachers to carry handguns in the public schools. So it was a 26-5 vote. To pass Senate Bill 1325. It allows a teacher or faculty member that meets certain requirements to possess and carry a handgun or firearm on school grounds. Now, this has been debated for, 25 years. I'm just threw that number out there. But we're going to talk about this story. Watch the video, and we'll come right back.
Emotions running high over a bill allowing some teachers to carry handguns on public school grounds. It also marks one of the state's biggest expansions of gun access since the deadly Covenant school shooting in Nashville last year. Holding her 8-month-old son, Senator London Lamar calls the bill dangerous.
Teachers are already getting their guns and belongings stolen out the parking lot of schools. Do you think it won't happen in a school building?
There are some counties where they may only have 2 deputies on shift. It might take 20 or 30 minutes to get to that school.
The bill says a principal, school district, and law enforcement agency would have to agree to let staff carry guns. It also would bar disclosing which employees are carrying guns beyond school administrators and police, including to parents of students and even other teachers.
Regarding the portion of confidentiality, that is relative to the element of surprise. If you don't know who that person is and you are a possible intruder or an active shooter.
Not allowing parents to be notified if their child is in a room where a handgun, a firearm is present, to me invalidates every single discussion we've had about parental choice in this body.
Interesting.
Very interesting. This will happen in other states. Katie, you looked up a quick anniversary to remind us what happened.
Yeah, so
when?
You just put out there like 25 years ago. Well, just so everyone's aware, 25 years ago, April 20th, 1999 is when Columbine school shooting happened. So we've been in discussions about how do we handle the fear and the reality of school shootings and how do we protect our children. And so it's just fascinating, I guess, that this is happening right now at this time period, that Tennessee is going ahead and passing this. Whether or not other states will follow. I think they will. And there are other ones who kind of have done things like this and are working through things. But, we talk about this every single time a school shooting happens. And like you talked about earlier, you say people don't kill people, guns kill the people. Yeah. It's the debate. Is it the gun? Is it the person? And
well, sometimes it's a big rock, sometimes it's a shovel, sometimes it's a knife, not to make light of this story. But I like what one of the Republicans said. It's time we look at the facts of the bill. We're not trying to shoot a student, but protect a student from an active shooter whose sole purpose is to get into that school and kill people. That's what one person said. By the way, it's going to be ready for a House floor vote, I guess. But I want to go back to what happened a year ago, and that was oh my goodness, they didn't put out any information on this person because they identified as transgender. That was Audrey Hale, who went into the school. She had it written out in her diary. She had a manifesto that the left didn't want released. The media didn't want to release it because then it would look bad because of, obviously, the transgender issue and the violence. And it is attacking Christians at a Christian school. So if it were the other way around, however, Katie, if it was a Christian going in or identifying believer in God, going into, let's just say, a pride parade and shooting a few people, front page news headlines, and that you would hear that for the next year. And plus. Yeah. So I'll let you chime in here because I've been
every time this issue gets brought up in terms of, okay, what are we going to do to protect the children? And anytime it's with the guns, we are running parallel narratives here. Obviously, when we're talking about protecting children in schools and what can be life-saving to them, and allowing teachers, not requiring teachers, but allowing teachers to have guns.
Right. Not forcing.
But the simple act of them having the gun is a deterrent enough for people to not, because you don't know who has that gun. But you run this narrative at the same time we're talking about, well, we have to use the proper pronouns in schools, and teachers have to. Not even suggested, but have to.
Compelled?
Yes. Say the proper pronoun, because that's what will save students' lives. Because that's how this gets marketed for the pronoun usage. We must do this. It's mandatory that you use the proper pronoun to save a student's life. It's life or death.
That's right.
Like that narrative is running alongside when we're talking about guns, and teachers may, after taking coursework and having so many hours of training for it, may, if they so choose, have a gun that truly, literally will be life or death. Not pronoun usage. But we are running these narratives alongside each other. So it's just fascinating the words that get used and which side of this narrative actually brings truth versus which one is just, the one about pronouns.
Yeah. So friends, what do you think? Do you think it's a deterrent if this goes through and they do allow a few of the teachers to carry guns? Do you think they would put a sign up front, on the front of the school? How would anybody be deterred, or is that not even an issue?
It's more of remove the stickers that say this is a gun-free zone.
Do they have those in schools now?
They have them in schools. You can do them for businesses. You can do them for
that keeps criminals
libraries.
out.
They do. No, that's the hey, welcome sign, basically for criminals of this is a gun-free zone. Well, here I go. They know by you putting out that sign saying this is a gun-free zone, it lets criminals know, hey, by the way, no one in here is protected, so come on in. It's a calling card, essentially. I know.
I know it brings up the Second Amendment debate
but
all
this actually ties into what we're doing here.
Yep.
In our next story, so that's talking about teachers being able to carry guns in Tennessee. Well, how about the Tennessee State Legislature passing a bill, which is headed to the governor's desk at this point, requiring public schools to teach age-appropriate and grade-appropriate gun safety, and having gun safety courses to the students starting in the 2025-2026 school year. So Tennessee Senate passed HB 2882, and that was a 24-3 vote after the bill made its way through the House back in February. Let's take a look at what happened.
Some parents may be wondering if their children will be learning about those guns with props or even fake weapons. The bill says there will not be any live firearms or ammunition use. Now, this will be strictly focused on students learning things like firearm storage, school safety when it comes to those guns, and how to avoid getting hurt if a student finds a gun. Now, this will be done through videos or online resources with help from the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. Lawmakers say lessons could be taught pretty early on, depending on what the departments decide. Right now, the SAFE Act requires safety training, which includes fire and tornado training at schools. Representative Chris Todd says some schools are also teaching firearm safety, but it's not required. Now, this bill would add the firearm safety training to the SAFE Act. Todd says it's needed.
I don't know how many of you, I can't think of the last time I heard of a fire in a school, but we often hear stories of where a child's bringing a gun to in their backpack or something.
That's actually quite profound. Like, oh yes, when was the last time we've had a fire in a school? And yet we have to run the drills.
Fire drills.
Like what, 4 times a year, 6 times a year?
That's it. That's an interesting point.
You know, like if you think about it, this is interesting. And again, this goes along with, let's look at the double narrative. So we want to, or Tennessee, it has to or wants to have gun safety courses for the children. So if a gun is around, they know how to use it and they are using it appropriately. Sex ed in the classroom at age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Let's have that debate.
Sex ed.
Age appropriate.
Versus, again, literally saving their lives.
Yes.
Not identifying pronoun usage and sex things in for 5-year-olds. Which one's more important? But what I really want to talk about is what Senator Jeff Yarbrough says.
Okay. Is he a Democrat?
I think his words say everything about
Okay,
who he
let's
is.
just hear the quote. We'll decide.
He says, children are already bearing an incredible brunt of the escalation that we've seen in gun violence. That is widely reported in our own state government's data. Data demonstrates that children are increasingly likely to become victims of firearms and homicides, suicides, gun violence, and accidental deaths. But rather than deal with the fact that there are firearms that are negligently and recklessly left somewhere by adults, we're trying to teach children how to deal with that negligence. The children need to know how to use a firearm or if a firearm is present, because that will literally save their lives. Jeff Yarbrough is saying no.
I'm kind of confused by his quote, but anyway.
It is what it is. Now, it is going to be passed, and because it already passed, it's going to be signed. In the Tennessee Department of Education said that the Department of Education, the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, and the Wildlife Resources Agency will then determine the curriculum parameters, including the ages and the grade levels for the classes. So you actually, hopefully, have people educated in how to use the gun safely, determining who should get to use or who should learn the lessons and at what age. Now, when you have a Department of Education involved, you might not actually get what you want. But if the Department of Safety and Homeland Security and the Wildlife Resources Agency, because people who deal with wildlife know how to use guns appropriately, you hope that they would be like, okay, at age 5, this is what you need to know to like stay away, and this is like how you handle it, depending on as we go up in age. So we'll see.
Age appropriate, something they don't even debate when it comes to hypersexualized material.
There's no age that is inappropriate for them.
Right.
All ages are on the table. So again, it's just fascinating when you look at this. Our first story, when we talk about actual like teachers being able to save children's lives by having the ability to have the gun if something were to happen, next to you're compelled, mandatory to have to say a proper pronoun that they debate that's life. And then at this same one, again, still in Tennessee, we're talking about children being able to appropriately use a gun if needed versus their life and death of sexualization of the children at 5. Like, what are we actually teaching kids that is important? I'm losing a lot of hand gestures, I know.
Okay, friends, and I didn't know you were that Italian.
I know, I'm not Italian at all, but look at me go. Hey.
So let me ask you a question. Are you smarter than a student at Freedom Project Academy? For the next couple months, we're going to be highlighting some trivia questions to test your book smarts and showcase some of our courses offered at our Judeo-Christian Classical Online School. So as we head into the break, here's a question from our Bible and Culture course. Check this out. Who is to be diligently taught the Word of God according to Deuteronomy chapter 6? A, non-believers. B, those who ask. C, the Canaanite peoples. D, children. We'll be right back after the break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Freedom Project Academy. Looking for a K-12 classical online school built on Judeo-Christian values? FPA is enrolling now for the fall. Request your free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R, school.com. All right, we're back. Did you have time to ponder? Did you go to Google and find the answer? Hopefully, maybe you looked up in your Bible the answer. All right, so before the break, we asked you an important question. Are you smarter than an FPA student? And the question to answer is, who is to be diligently taught the Word of God according to Deuteronomy 6? Was it A, non-believers, B, those who ask, C, the Canaanite peoples, or D, children? Well, hopefully you all know that it is D, children. Children need to be taught diligently. All right, well, for more information on the live, anytime, homeschool, and summer school courses that are offered at Freedom Project Academy, please visit freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R.com.
Very important principle.
Know that?
Very important. Yes, I did, because that's a very important when it comes to Christian families teaching their kids. What are children learning in the government schools? Are they learning the Word of God? Oh, well, the Bible says teach your children diligently. So anyway, I thought that's very important. Good principle.
Well, let's move on to something a little bit more visual, if you will. AI, artificial intelligence, is already causing many concerns, and now let's add another concern: facial recognition. There's a new AI-infused classroom management tool with facial recognition capabilities. It's garnered a little bit of attention recently with promises to take attendance, assess the emotional state of our students, and to monitor classes for distraction, boredom, and confusion. This is some creepy bleep, bleep, bleep in my mind, because now, Big Brother is watching you. For everyone, hopefully everyone who has read 1984, this takes it an even notch up. Because not just when you're out in public, out on the streets, Big Brother watching you, it's in the classroom, children. Always. They're always going to have eyes on you. And not just looking at you, but like assessing your emotional state. What does that even mean?
Well, wait, wasn't that part of Common Core when those standards were
released? Oh, the social emotional learning, yeah.
In 2010, was it? That many years ago?
Yep.
14 years ago?
It's been, 14 years.
Yeah.
Yes, but now they were talking at the time like different wrist bracelets almost you could wear to kind of
I thought it was like
almost like a mood ring.
The mouse is how much
there was
pressure.
A couple different things, yeah.
A kid was
But now it's AI can do it because now we have the technology for it. So the technology and similar developments have raised numerous legal, ethical, and civil liberties questions. Oh, I wonder why. Similar to those surrounding campus safety surveillance programs and test proctoring programs, which were widely adopted during the COVID pandemic. Now, this AI-infused classroom management tool comes from a team at Guilford College, and it's led by someone who I am going to attempt to pronounce his name, Chafik Busaba.
I would say that, yeah.
Associate Professor for Computing Technology and Information Systems. Now, Busaba generally characterizes the classroom management tool as a boon to the educators who are reluctant or unable to manage their students more directly. How about we address that issue?
What?
Classroom management has always been an issue. Teacher being able to control what's going on. Yes, it's gotten crazier and crazier and less controlled over the years. So how about we start there? And it comes down to, how are the children's attitudes and ability to sit in a classroom, and that stems then from the family and the parents and raising of the kids and what's all of that happening. But these days we send kids off to school to be raised, so the teacher is supposed to be raising an entire classroom of children while also teaching them like the curriculum, if they follow what the curriculum actually states. Whole nother issue. So anyway, this Busaba says that while simultaneously this program will improve the academic experiences of those in the class.
How?
Now, he's quoted as saying in an October news story published on the Guilford's website, quote, when you're in a classroom in real time, it's not easy picking up on every student and understanding if they're getting the concepts. We want to see if there's a way to track students' facial responses with how they're learning in class. Sounds innocent, right? Sounds like, we're just doing this to help.
Well, yeah, when you implement anything like this, what can be used maybe for good or with good intentions is going to be corrupted and used for evil, or someone with bad intentions watching the students for other reasons. Like, anyway, we won't need to go into that. But there are concerns.
There is definitely concerns. Now, in classrooms that are equipped with the program, Busaba said that the tool will document student behavior if needed by taking 5 to 10-second videos. Yeah, what happens to those videos? Who gets them? Who's looking at these videos? From there, instructors can initiate conversations with students or reprimand them for not looking in the proper direction or for interacting with other students when they shouldn't.
Wow.
Big Brother is watching you.
Or babysitter.
That's
an expensive
babysitter. Brother is watching you.
Yeah.
It's this creeps me out. Anyway, Chad Marlowe, who's a senior policy counsel for the ACLU and principal author of a detailed report on what he refers to as the ed tech surveillance industry, expressed just a little bit of concern. He said that persons with disabilities, including neurodivergent persons, may act or appear different from what's deemed typical, but that doesn't mean that they're bored or confused or distracted. In fact, a student with ADHD is likely to appear distracted at times because they may be fidgeting or looking around, but such a conclusion would be wrong. Now, in this day and age, in the classroom, they are labeling, diagnosing. If you have a class of about 30 kids, there's going to be at least 4 to 5, if not more, who have ADHD. If not more. I may be grossly underestimating.
Yeah.
I know I'm not overestimating that. Because I was in a classroom of 10, and 3 of them had it. Were diagnosed.
Wow.
And then there was another suspected not diagnosed. And that's every classroom, because everyone has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So everyone's going with that. So Big Brother's watching you. It's coming. It's happening. Are you prepared? But I'm over here not prepared because we have Babylon Bee headlines next, and I don't know what they are because I never look at them. But we're going to discuss what is the best bee headline to date for this week. We're going to pick a winner. You're going to pick a winner. Just everyone's going to be a winner. Stick around.
Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. Introducing Patriot Mobile, the wireless carrier that stands with you. We are committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream.
Get free activation now with promo code EDUCATED.
Okay, before we wrap up the show for the day, let's take a look at everyone's favorite satire site, the Babylon Bee.
Here are this week's top 5 Babylon Bee headlines.
All right, so Katie hasn't seen these, but we've picked some favorite headlines of the week, and now you get to vote on 1 through 5 and tell us which should be named numero uno, Queen of the Hive. Hey, I rhymed. 1 through 5, Queen of the Hive. Anyway, let's start with number 1. Biden announces student loan forgiveness to help people afford all his taxes and inflation. Number 2, White House announces inflation doing great if you hold the chart upside down. Number 3, Sheila Jackson Lee asks why Elon Musk wants to colonize Mars since it's just a giant ball of spaghetti sauce. Number 4, Sheila Jackson Lee named head of Harvard Astronomy Department.
Oh, gosh.
And finally, number 5, Caitlin Clark to retire from Spotlight and enter WNBA. All right, for our friends watching, which one do you think is the best headline for the B for this week? I got it narrowed down to 2.
Are they both involving Mars?
No, I'll say number 2 or number 5. Number 2, first of all.
That's a funny.
They're always
that's funny.
saying they're always minimizing the damage, and when the economy is tanking, they're always trying to find some random piece of good news maybe that doesn't even give the context or the whole picture of how bad the economy is. So they're always manipulating or lying about it. And the Caitlin Clark, for the first time in my life, honestly, I watched a women's basketball playoff game, and that's because I was curious to see who's this one of the best players. So I was watching that. So that was a good headline too. That's
funny.
She's been in the spotlight for 2 years or more, and now she's going to retire from the spotlight and go into the W. Now let me see. Taina said 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Was it? Wait a minute. Mine was 2 and 5.
Yeah, you were 2 and 5.
Gregory says number 2.
Okay, so you got people on your side, but I was actually going
on my side. We're not taking sides.
We're taking sides. What's the best? This is all about competition.
What do you think?
And that segues into why I'm choosing number 5, the lack of competition. The Caitlin Clark to retire from the spotlight and enter WNBA. Listen here, everyone. I grew up in the golden era of
teamwork.
Yes. In the 90s being like, hey, basketball's awesome. And then all of a sudden the WNBA was created. And I was like, what? This is amazing. I got myself a Cheryl Swoops jersey.
Brother.
Hey, don't you roll your eyes at me. I was out there playing ball, out in the countryside, shooting hoops, thinking I was the coolest. As a young female, it was cool to see the WNBA. Did I watch it many years after that? No. Once Lisa Leslie was gone, I was like, peace out. I don't really care. Yeah, I watched them in the Olympics, but yeah, I get the headline. I think it's hilarious. Caitlin Clark actually has a decision to make. I think she is going WNBA, but was it Ice Cube? Was it Ice Cube, Ice T?
I don't know.
Someone has a 3-on-3 basketball league where they were promising her like millions of dollars. Like she could be making, but she's going WNBA. And honestly, let's see what happens. I'm curious to just see what happens. Could she carry a little bit of that momentum and interest?
In a 3-on-3 league?
No. Into the WNBA, since that's what she might be going to. That might make it more lucrative for her.
I'm not sure if the reason, and we're getting off on a tangent here, of the women's basketball is unpopular because it's just not exciting to watch. I think they politicized it with it's all LGBTQ.
Well, now it is,
It's all, it was all Black Lives Matter and all kneeling for the national anthem. So they politicized it. They made it something that people didn't want to watch.
So's the NBA. So's football. So
it's not necessarily the reason.
But I get it. I'm not,
okay.
I get it.
So did you... So you did say number
5, yeah.
Okay, what Sheila Jackson Lee? I missed a headline this week. What happened with her?
She's not smart.
I know that she makes some ridiculous
Mars.
statements. Something must have been about the moon or astronomy or something.
Well, we had whatchamacallit?
The eclipse.
The eclipse. I always want to say
and she
total eclipse of the heart. And so she made comments about moon and Mars, and she was misquoted talking planet moon. Yeah.
Boy.
She's not smart.
Anyway, that's going to wrap up our top headlines of the week. More satire next time.
All right. Well, hey, if you enjoy our content, please do consider subscribing to our audio podcast and our weekly media e-blast, which does contain all of the top stories of the week. Simply go to stayeducated.org for that. Now, for David and myself, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting what we do. Until next time, stay educated.